Welcome back to CryptosRus. I am George. We're all George. So, today let's talk about this $4.5 trillion asset manager declaring Bitcoin the winner. And they have a very fancy chart to prove it. So I'm going to show you guys what that chart looks like and also talk about how more bank failures, yeah, it's happening again, is leading and driving more people to Bitcoin. So let's talk about all these things and more. Let's do it. Welcome, 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 guys. Happy Saturday. Today, alts are actually doing pretty good. A lot of altcoins are coming back up. Bitcoin is still steady right below 35,000, but we are seeing some excitement, some recovery again. So I'm going to talk about that as well. But first, I want to talk about more bank failures, including our big bank, the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve actually had some kind of problem where they couldn't pay. They couldn't pay because there's some kind of system outage, and then that led to problems. Okay, so even with someone as big as the Federal Reserve, they have problems with their payments sometimes because the archaic networks that they use is prone to failure. That's exactly what happened. Okay, so that's why Web3 is just better. Decentralization not only is it great for freedom, but also great for protecting against failures like this. When was the last time Bitcoin's network went under? Never. 12 years ago, right? But then, then this came out. This is even more shocking. Another bank failed in 2023, the fifth bank. I didn't even know about the fourth bank, but now the fourth bank was end of July, beginning of August. Now we have another one, okay? So bank failures, we haven't heard much about them recently. And I believe it's because the Fed has been, besides Chair Powell deciding on whether or not to raise rates, I think he's also been secretly lending out. I know it's not secret because we could see it. We could actually see a lot of the Fed's balance going to the negative hundreds of billions because they're loaning them out to the banks to prevent failures like this, but sometimes it's just not enough. So we have another one. This is a smaller regional bank called Citizens Bank, okay? And they have just went under. So they're the fifth, and, we may get more in the future. Again, this is real. It happens. Even the biggest players in the game with enormous amount of money, they still go under. You know why? Because they're led by humans. They're led by people that maybe is greedy, incompetent, too non-risk as assertive, I guess. Adheres. I don't even know what that their risk tolerance is too high. Let's just put it that way, right? So, yeah, things like this, right? No good. Hate to see people lose their money and businesses. So, this is part of that flight to quality. People are driven to Bitcoin because they're sick of hearing about bank failures, sick of hearing about inflation, sick about hearing Fed Chair Powell trying to raise rates or not raise rates or whatever he may be doing, right? All these things going on is bring people to Bitcoin, okay? So that is still happening. And I'm just giving examples in the United States. I'm sure there's plenty of other bank failures, plenty of other failures overall around the world that I'm not even covering. That also contributes. And remember, Bitcoin is not just a U.S. thing. It's a worldwide asset for the people, by the people, that no one can control. No single entity, no country, no chairs can control. That's why Bitcoin is freedom. And it will continue to do that. To 300 million someday. That's just crazy. I can't imagine Bitcoin ever being at 300 million. I don't think there's enough money on the planet. But, if every country continues to inflate their fiat infinitely forever, maybe 300 million is within reach. Probably not within our lifetime, but it may come due to all the excess printing that we're all doing, right? All right, leading to the main topic of today, and that is, well, what about this? Fidelity, okay? Fidelity has been pro Bitcoin for a while, but they have a lot of weight. Everyone keeps talking about BlackRock with their, 9 trillion of assets. People forget Fidelity is up there with close to 5 trillion in assets. So they are no joke. And they've been in the space for a while. They've been pro Bitcoin much longer than even BlackRock, right? And they came out with something that's quite damning for all other asset classes. They looked at the risk to rewards of various many different assets, including Bitcoin. They plotted it on a graph like this, and then they made it so that it's from 2020 to 2023, right? And they look at it and they're like, well, Bitcoin is in a different universe. It's not even close. The annual returns based on risk, Bitcoin, if you go all the way back to the beginning, the annualized return is about 145%. But if you're just looking at the last 3 years, it's still above in a 60 percentile. But you look at everything else, like the S&P 500, and you throw gold in there, and then you put China in there, emerging markets in there, everything else, you can see how they're kind of bumbled together, not really deviating away. But Bitcoin, again, it's a different universe. This is according to Fidelity, okay? Again, one of the largest asset managers on the planet. I would say top 5, okay? And they're saying this. So, of course, if you're an investor, you're an average Joe, or you're a large institutional investor or a large hedge fund or a pension fund, whatever, you're looking at this, you're like, it's clear. Where am I going to put my money? Bitcoin, right? Nothing outperforms it, especially when it's in recovery mode. Yes, you could say, well, yeah, it does go down a lot. Yeah, but when it's in recovery mode, nothing comes close. Nothing. And if you want to go all the way back to the very beginning, the best performing asset is, of course, Bitcoin at 570,000%. Okay, so this is why I say hodl long term. When you're in Bitcoin, you focus long term, because over years, nothing comes close. As explosive as Tesla has been, and a lot of people made a lot of money on Tesla. Compare Tesla in the last decade to Bitcoin. Is it anywhere close? No. Again, in another universe. It's not close at all, right? And I believe it'll be the same way going forward. Of course, a lot of alts, I think, will catch up. But going forward from here on out, if we extrapolate its trajectory for the next 10 years, 2 more cycles, Bitcoin will be in the millions, okay? It's still going to keep on going. A lot of talk about Bitcoin ETFs, obviously, right? I know that in the U.S., we don't have any. I don't know if you guys know that outside the U.S., though, there are a few that exist, like from in Canada and other places. But even those smaller ones, they're growing in value tremendously, okay? 4.16 billion in spot Bitcoin ETFs, mostly in Canada, but some in other countries. But that's just, again, that's nothing. That sounds great. That sounds like a lot. But when we get the very first ones approved in the U.S., we will get probably that in a single day. And then it's going to ramp up to trillions over the next 2 years, right? But yeah, there's definitely a lot of money flowing in. Like this flight to quality thing, it sounds generic, but it's actually really happening. It actually is happening. Here's another, I guess, chart that proves that. And this is looking at exchange withdrawals, okay? And it is flying up. There's more and more people that's just taking Bitcoin out of exchanges because they know there's a future and they don't want to risk it by leaving their assets on an exchange. So they're actually taking it out, putting it in custodian, putting it in their wallets, and so forth, right? So, yeah, that proves it too. There's just so many people coming in and getting a little bit for themselves while they can before it gets too expensive. Hash rate continues to go upwards. I mean, that pretty much looks like Bitcoin's price too. The hash for Bitcoin is the only thing that trails the price periodically. There are times where Bitcoin's price, right, obviously dictates the hash, but there are times where no, the price is going down, for example, and the hash continues to go up because these miners are too smart to stop mining, and they know that, and they're trying to do as much mining as they can before the next halving event, which makes it twice as difficult for them to extrapolate 1 Bitcoin, right? To earn 1 Bitcoin because everything gets cut in half. So, new record, and why this record is significant is because it just shows that Bitcoin's network is getting stronger. The more hash rate, there's more miners there are powering the network, makes it that much more secure and unhackable and unstoppable, right? So that's happening. There's a lot of charts, of course, that's still showing Bitcoin moving upwards. I don't think you guys really need any more conviction on this, but I'm going to show it anyways. There's just a lot of similarities and fractal patterns that show that Bitcoin is still on its way up, right? There's no question about it. There's no doubt about it right now. As we're sitting at 34.7, a little bit below 35,000, okay? There's no question that we have come up from 26,000 just a week ago, and then you go back a little bit more, we were in the 24,000. You go back a little more earlier this year, we were 16,000. There's no question that we are in recovery mode. But the question is, the $1 million question is, how high will Bitcoin go this time around? We can only guess based on previous pumps, previous bull runs, right? And here's a good one. If we're following this box, okay, which shows the parabolic bull run, and we're about to enter that box because we're getting closer and closer to having an event and going beyond it. Plus, we got a lot of other factors that can make this even more explosive. But if we're putting it all together, Bitcoin is 200, 300,000 by the end of this cycle, right? So, yeah. All right. Now, outside of Bitcoin, we definitely do see, I mentioned at the beginning, altcoins are starting to come up, right? This is measuring altcoin, their dominance, and how it's breaking above. Does that mean altcoin season is here? Altcoin season is going to drive, you know, the likes of Ethereum and Solana and Avalanche and Polygon and Arbitrum and all the dexes. Are we going to see a 10, 20, 30x from here? Not yet, in my opinion. We always see this. We always see Bitcoin dominance, you know, have parabolic, like, no, not parabolic. We will see parabolic, but like we will see times where, yeah, it does kind of go up, right? And generally speaking, that happens when Bitcoin takes a breather. Like when Bitcoin starts going sideways for a little bit, then the action turns to alts. So alts will be pulled up along for the ride, basically. But then, you know, towards, I would say the second half of 2025 is when things will really start moving. But the good thing is alts have never been stronger than now versus the same period from previous cycles. And a lot of these alts are doing a lot of great things to make sure that they are ready for this next parabolic run. They're not just sitting idle, right? For example, Arbitrum. Arbitrum is the largest L2 for Ethereum, and I know a lot of people love Ethereum, but a lot of people are getting sick of the price movement, so they're looking at alternatives, right? The L2s for Ethereum have definitely been outperforming, right? Arbitrum being one of them. So there's a lot of buying right now, not just for them, but also Optimism, which is another one. Base, even though there's no token, their volume is exploding. And then, of course, you have like the likes of Polygon and others that are kind of sort of L1, L2, and even Polygon is coming up, right? But I noticed this. This is actually pretty good. There's a couple things. Number one, Arbitrum is having this vote to allow people to be able to stake Arbitrum and earn rewards. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. You want people to stake, right? Yeah, so no-brainer at all. Right now, 53% of the voters are advocating for allocation of 175 million Arbitrum being locked and rewarded to stakers. That will help. Obviously, if you take like even a small portion of the circuit supply and you lock it in so that people aren't trading them, obviously that's going to help. But outside of this, I saw this too. This is pretty amazing. They have something called Orbit. Now, I never even heard of a layer 3, but because Arbitrum is layer 2, they can't call themselves a layer 1. They're coming out of layer 3. Basically, they're taking their code base, their technology, and they're going to license it out for others so that they can utilize the same thing and hopefully establish a collaboration and interchain communication. I think the best example of this would be like Base. Base is a copy of Optimism, right? So they're kind of different, but they're sharing the same technology, the same code, and I think that's what this is. Basically, Arbitrum is going to make it so that when other I guess project leaders, if they're thinking about creating their own L1s, right, rather than do that, create L3 that's compatible with Arbitrum, and Arbitrum has proved that it has been pretty efficient at grabbing dApp makers. So that's kind of like what I think is happening. And I think it could work because Arbitrum obviously has done really well for itself. And if they could bring other L1s, I keep saying L1s, but other L3s, onto this new network and be compatible with Arbitrum and also be EVM compatible, obviously, with Ethereum, it could be a good thing. It's just something new, right? Again, so just proving my point, and others, they're not sitting idle waiting for the bull market. They're not just sitting there waiting for their tokens to pump. What they're doing is they're developing, right? And the more developing and the more partnerships and the more dApps they can onboard right now, the more they're going to benefit in the future, right? Here's another partnership. Yuga Labs and Magic Eden are partnering up, launching a Ethereum-based NFT marketplace that enforces royalties, because now this is a big issue. Somehow, OpenSea and others, they have made it so that royalties for the secondary market are optional. But Yuga Labs wants it so that it's not optional. It's enforced, okay? Because they actually want to collect those royalties. Right? If they sell a Bored Ape, for example, they want to collect, because they sold them for really cheap, but they want to collect all the royalties that from the secondary market, right? So that's okay. Some people argue the royalties suck, right? Some people argue that it's good for creators. There are new creators that want to collect the royalties. So it's kind of like, mixed bag, right? But Magic Eden is they're going to try and see. We'll see how it goes. All right, that's pretty much it. Citizens Crypto gifted 5 memberships. Citizens Crypto. Hopefully you are not involved with Citizens Bank, who has just been seized and shut down by the U.S. government or by the FDIC. So, okay, outside of that, let's do some Q&A today. Alts, not bad. Yeah, Solana, that's recovering. A lot of the L1s, L2s, that are still doing well, right? Kind of in the green. Yesterday was not a good day, but I just got done talking about Arbitrum. They're up in a big way. Optimism, another L2 up in a big way. Ooh, you got like Immutable, that's up 18%. They're coming out their own chain as well. Graph 9%. So you got some good movers today as well. All right, let's do some Q&A. Citizen, donating memberships, big super chat, is one way to help others find the true message regarding crypto. Folks, leave the banks, join the crypto revolution. Thank you. I do agree with you. MJ Matrix, thoughts on Arbitrum airdrops? I don't know. I just got done talking about how they want people to stake, right? So I know there's airdrops. They don't release all of their tokens at once. They airdrop according to volume. So it's a new way of doing it. Sometimes when they do airdrop a lot, it can affect. I don't know how many they have done. I think they only done 2 or 3. But sometimes in a weak market, that's obviously not good because that's increasing supply. But in a bull market, it doesn't really matter, right? And if they're releasing things that kind of counteract that, like staking, then it'll be fine. Andrew earlier asked about Gala games. They seem to be okay. People are ignoring the FUD between the founders, but they got a long way to go. They're like 99% off from their high, right? Can they get back to their previous high? That's questionable at this point, but a lot of people still do enjoy their games. And they're still pushing forward regardless of the lawsuits. Staking in California is illegal. Just hold on, DCA in and out. Air to the rod. Someone just told me that recently too about Coinbase or whoever just unstake them because they're in California. So I don't know the legal argument there. But yeah, in some states it kind of sucks. Just look at this chart from Fidelity. Risk versus rewards, 2020 to 2023. That's a huge that's a huge gap right there. Okay? This is from Fidelity. Which 2 million market caps have potential? I can't tell you that, Johan, because I don't look at any coins that are sub 2 million. How high can VeChain go? Well, looking at VeChain, they're doing pretty good today. Finally seeing some greens across the board for the last 60 and 90 days. 1.4 billion, so they're in a good spot. So let's see. All time, they hit right here about 24 cents. So they have to do more than a 10x. They have to do like a 12x to get back to their previous high. Okay. So that's 24 cents. Can they go above that and go to $1? So then that means they would have to do like a 50x from here. I don't think they're going to do a 50x by the end of this cycle, if I'm being honest. But do I think they could do a 12x to get back to their previous high? Yes. Can they go beyond that? Can they go to maybe 40 cents or 50 cents? So doubling from that point on. I think that's a real possibility. That could happen. Obviously, VeChain, I believe, needs to focus more on consumer side stuff. Okay, getting their TVL up there, getting their DeFi and staking and liquidity pools and bridges and wallets, the things that users actually care about and use, right? I think they need to concentrate more on that. I know they're concentrating still primarily like business side and being, going green, being 100%. I don't know what they said. Yeah, they had a certain term for it. But anyways, if they concentrate more on the consumer side and also get like, cool games and NFTs, projects to come aboard, I think that's also, you don't hear a lot about these like really popular apps let's say the new social apps, you know, that's on Avalanche and Ethereum and so forth. You don't hear about them coming to VeChain. You don't hear about all the latest games. Most of the games are still being produced on either Ethereum or Immutable X, right? You don't hear about them on VeChain. If we get them in, VeChain is going to do very well in the coming bull market. Lots of viewers watching with a lot of good college football games. I'm wondering why my viewer count is low. Too many. It's hard to compete with football. Last Saturday, I had like 4,300 people tuned in. I'm like, for a Saturday, that was really good. Now this is more like equal to normal numbers. But I guess I'll take it. I'll take it. Still thousands of you here watching with me, ignoring football or watching football at the same time. Brandon says, you act like every coin has and will go back to all-time high. They don't have to do anything. No, I don't act like that. I just said the same thing about Gala. They have to go up like 100x to get back to previous high. I don't think that's going to happen. But these are big names. These are big projects with serious leaders and a lot of activity going on. Okay, so these are the ones that are biggest in the space. And I know because I've been following them for years. So Brendan, tone your attitude down. If you don't believe, then, you know, you don't believe. That's it. What am I fighting, Ben? I'm not going to be fighting, Ben. I'm not in the main card. I'm not fighting at all. But there are a lot of good fighters that are signed up in the IFC. Yeah, did you guys see the AI version of me that I tweeted from Crow? So Crypto Crow, Jason, is coming out a new project called Eternalized. And then look at that. That's pretty cool. It's like I would say that's like 95% accurate. That's like 95%. Yeah. Pretty soon, there'll be an AI George, and then you guys could talk to me 24/7. Gala has a huge potential. I did a quick math. 4K into Gala. If they reach 73 cents, we'll pay 300,000. I don't doubt your math. They are down really. They're like 99.9% down or something like that, or 99.5% down from their high. Yeah, just to get back their previous high, you'll make a boatload of money. But I don't know if it can happen, and they really need to stop their lawsuits against each other. What are your favorite cars from the Japanese mobility show? I didn't even know that was going on. I thought SEMA was going on. Yeah, I didn't know there was a Japan mobility show. Crypto Lifer needs to fight Ben. He won't fight. He wants to fight. I take that back. He wants to fight, but he said his wife won't let him, so he's not fighting. Why is no one talking about Gala as their L1? Their L1 is a Hyperledger Fabric tech and top of the line. People have no idea. Have you looked at L1? No. Because they don't even talk about their L1. They're not promoting themselves as L1. They're promoting themselves as an entertainment destination for games, for music and movies. They're not trying to come out with the DEX. They have their own marketplace, their NFT marketplace. But yeah, they're not trying to come out with anything else. It's kind of like, entertainment. And there's nothing wrong with that. They have some really good games that people like. Really good games that people have been playing for a while. It's just a stupid lawsuit. And plus, NFT market has crashed, so their tokens have crashed majorly. So, yeah. All right, enough of AI, George. That looks pretty real. That looks pretty good. I don't know what the project is going to be really capable of, but I'm going to give it a try. Tokyo Motor Show was renamed to Japan Mobility Show. Why? That's a horrible name. I guess they don't want to just have Tokyo in the name. They could just, yeah, I don't know. Gala will come back. Prayer and patience. You need more of the prayer part, I guess. Why is no one talking about Dent or Patcoin? I think you know why, man. Dent? What happened to Dent? I mean, Dent is still holding at 78 million. Dent, I've always said there's a problem with Dent, and that is because they're at the mercy of the carriers. So they're a decentralized mobile platform or mobile carrier. They use eSIMs, and then you could go around the world and pick plans and sell your data and stuff like that. But it's hard. You're still at the mercy of the carriers. And Patcoin, I'm not even going to talk about. Did you guys see KC42 yesterday? I tuned in. There was like 10,000 people live watching on YouTube. It's pretty good. And they have a lot of TV syndication rights too, and they were playing that everywhere. So that was just one of their normal fights. KC43 is coming in Vegas. That's not where the IFC, the IFC fighters are not fighting that, but KC44 is when the IFC fighters will fight. And we'll go break records. Yesterday, the 10 and 1 year bond had a powerful fall. What do you think about it, and what could it mean? Bond rates going down would be good. We don't want to see bond rates so high. I was talking to a banker friend / neighbor, and he was telling me that even if the Fed starts cutting rates in, say, next year, if the bond rates are still high, that means mortgages in a lot of commercial, loans, their interest will still be high. So we want the bond rates to come down. But the reason why bond rates are going up, or they did go up, was because the U.S. needed money. Janet Yellen just said, we need to raise like $1 trillion for the last 3 months of this year. So she's pushing out a lot of bonds, right? And the more bonds she pushes out, it drives the bonds that were previously deployed, drives them down because they're giving out lower interest. The new ones have way higher interest. So it's killing the old bonds, and she's making the interest so high because it's not just her. I'm simplifying, but the market's making the interest high because there's not a lot of people that want them. So the less people that want bonds, the higher the interest rate will go. That makes sense, right? They're trying to incentivize people to buy it. So if they both came down, that would be good. And I think they came down probably because there's no more rate hike, right? Fed basically, Powell just said, we're going to watch it, but there's no more rate hike. So I guess some will take that as as a sign that, you know, the economy is going to recover. It's not going to suffer anymore. So people are selling off. I don't know. I'm just speculating, just thinking out loud. There's a bigger, they're all connected somehow. I'm just trying to piece it together. I think it has to do with Powell and him not raising the rate, the Fed fund rate, which means the economy can start recovering, which means that people are more taking their money and putting into risk on assets, taking out of bonds and putting on risk on assets, or they maybe buy more bonds. I don't know. I don't know. It's a very complex system. Anyways, it's best to just stick with Bitcoin. Get out of all that and just stick with Bitcoin. I don't know what's going on with the NBA with their play-in tournament that no one seems to understand, and those stupid courts. It's like all red and stuff. I have no idea what they're doing. Not even the players know the significance of a play-in tournament or in-game tournament or in-season tournament. I have no idea. Like, I have not been paying attention. But I've seen some of those courts that are like all red and stuff. It looks like it's not even an NBA game. Do I still like Cadena? Sir Beaton? I'm neutral. So far, so good this weekend. It's early, but Bitcoin is slowly trending up. A lot of the alts that sold off is coming back, like Solana. Went from 42 down to like 36. Now almost back to 42. Those market makers or whales, whoever, liquidated all the longs, and now they're buying back in. It's just that simple. That's all they did. They just basically liquidate all the longs, myself included, and now they're just buying back, and it's basically back to the previous level. So you know that's why it's tough playing with leverage. You just don't know sometimes. You think you know, you're so smart, you make some money, and then all of a sudden you get liquidated. Lido is doing pretty well today. Immutable, I have no idea why Immutable shot up. That's a big gain. I have to look it up. Oasis. A lot of people ask me, Oasis. They're promising L1. They're climbing the chart right now. Some of these old ones like Zilliqa and Neo, they're starting to gain strength. I think people are just buying into them because they don't know what to buy. Sui is a new one. Gallus up here. I mean, they're still so off from their high. Conflux is one from China. That's interesting. Phantom is, I think Phantom could come up. See, look at Neo is also doing pretty well. Explain when they liquidate longs. Basically, they see there's too much. You know, you could see. These guys could see the volume on like the longs versus short. They can see the ratio, and I'm pretty sure if it becomes too heavy on one side, then these guys will just drop the market and go in reverse and force liquidate all of them, right? And they pick up on the bottom. Or the opposite, they pick up on top. It could go both ways. If you're doing a 20x leverage, you have to take profits and not let it ride. Yeah, I know. It's part of just greed. I'm just doing it for fun, degen, not like I'm truly trying to make like, you know, millions and millions with that 20x. But I did take profits. This is like my third trade. My first two, I took profits, and then my third one, I got a little greedier. I'm like, whatever. I'll just let it go, and then it liquidated. But you live and you learn. All right, guys. I'll let you get back to your college football. Overall, today is pretty good. Not bad. Tomorrow could be even better. Tomorrow I'll be doing my Sunday walk. Hopefully I could do it. And it's not going to be cold and rainy. But today, like I said, it's not bad. We got Fidelity that declares Bitcoin the winner because they're just in a different universe. And we got a lot of other good things happening in the space still. So don't give up. Stay strong. Continue to hold on DCA. And I'll see you guys on Monday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. But I'll do my Sunday walk video tomorrow, my weekly recap video tomorrow. And that's it. That's it. All right. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.